The world is speaking out and things are getting crazy. Here's everything you need to know so far about Jimmy Kimmel's show getting canceled and what's been happening in the aftermath. First of all, here's exactly what Jimmy Kimmel said during his monologue on Monday night, which is what everyone's talking about right now. He said the MAGA gang is desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. Then he plays a clip of Donald Trump being interviewed, and the reporter asks him, "How are you doing after the death of your good friend Charlie Kirk?" And Trump responds, "I'm good, thanks," and then points their direction over to the construction where he's building his new ballroom. And Kimmel responds and says, "This is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone he calls a friend. This is how a 4-year-old mourns a goldfish." Kimmel had also posted on his Instagram condolences to Charlie Kirk's family when the news had broke. He posted saying, "Instead of the angry finger pointing, can we just for one day agree that it is horrible and monstrous to shoot another human? On behalf of my family, we send love to the Kirks and to all the children, parents, and innocents who fall victim to senseless gun violence." Soon after, we had the chairman of the FCC making comments on a podcast that he is talentless and that his comments were completely inappropriate. And then not long after that, ABC's owner, Nexstar Media Group, ended up taking issue with what he said and said that they were going to pull his show from all of their networks. And they are the biggest owner of TV channels in the United States. They said in a press release yesterday, which was Wednesday, September 17th, that they took issue with the comments that he made and that Mr. Kimmel's remarks were inappropriate and deeply insensitive at a critical moment for our country. We believe broadcasters have a responsibility to educate and elevate respectful, constructive dialogue in our communities, and then said that they would be removing his show from all of their channels. Soon after, ABC and Disney decided that they were going to cancel and pull his show indefinitely. Well, now the world is speaking out. Now, the first one I saw this morning was this. German Journalists Union criticizes decision to take Jimmy Kimmel off the air. So the Journalists Union in Germany is now urging U.S. media to support other journalists when it comes to this. They said, "We are observing a rampant erosion of freedom of the press and freedom of expression in the United States. Broadcasters like ABC were wrong, and journalists needed the full support of their employers. Their servility towards the U.S. President Trump will not bring them peace, but will result in further pressure." And this is being talked about a lot now as well. Apparently, there was a journalist on the air who made a comment that homeless people don't deserve to live, and Jimmy Kimmel is the one who gets suspended. The Writers Guild of America has shown their support for Jimmy Kimmel and wrote a joint statement between the West and East Division saying that they stand with Jimmy Kimmel and his writers, and you can pause to read this statement. James Woods made an interesting post. Now, he has been very vocal in his support for Donald Trump, but it looked like he was following along with Hollywood and supporting Jimmy Kimmel, and then he switched it at the end. He started off saying Kimmel is a fellow artist and he's impressed with how he's handling things and that he's got a good and decent heart. And then at the bottom he said, "Just kidding, Jimbo, eat shit." No surprise here, Donald Trump posted his support for the show getting pulled by writing, "Great news for America. The ratings challenge Jimmy Kimmel show is canceled. Congratulations to ABC for finally having the courage to do what had to be done. Kimmel has zero talent and worse ratings than even Colbert, if that's possible. That leaves Jimmy and Seth, two total losers on fake news NBC. Their ratings are also horrible. Do it, NBC. President DJT." Barack Obama, however, does not agree with that statement and said, "After years of complaining about cancel culture, the current administration has taken it to a new and dangerous level by routinely threatening regulatory action against media companies unless they muzzle or fire reporters and commentators it doesn't like." And he also shared this one saying, "This is precisely the kind of government coercion that the First Amendment was designed to prevent. And media companies need to start standing up rather than capitulating it." Fellow comedian Julia Louis-Dreyfus also posted that she's standing with Jimmy Kimmel and standing for free speech. Jason Bateman was on the Today Show and basically said that this is such a tricky situation. And he says, "I'm sure there's going to be some sort of collective move to respond to this, but I'm not smart enough or powerful enough to be the one to do this. I imagine there's plenty of conversations happening right now on something that they can do because you can't just stand by and let this stuff go." The American Actors Union is also standing up, and SAG wrote saying they condemn the suspension of Jimmy Kimmel Live. Our society depends on freedom of expression. Suppression of free speech and retaliation for speaking out on significant issues of public concern run counter to the fundamental rights we all rely on. Democracy thrives when diverse points of views are expressed. The decision to suspend airing Jimmy Kimmel Live is the type of suppression and retaliation that endangers everyone's freedoms. SAG-AFTRA stands with all media artists and defends their right to express their diverse points of view and everyone's right to hear them. The president of the American Federation of Musicians of the United States and Canada also posted showing support for Jimmy Kimmel and wrote saying, "This is not complicated. Trump's FCC identified speech it did not like and threatened ABC with extreme reprisals. This is state censorship. It's now happening in the United States of America, not some far-off country. It's happening right here and right now." Sophia Bush wrote saying, "The First Amendment doesn't exist in America anymore, period. Fascism is here and it's chilling." Ben Stiller simply wrote, "This isn't right." Steve Martin wrote saying, "And our right to free speech is being eliminated," and posted a quote from the diary of Anne Frank. And this is all over everyone's social media feeds. This is what you get when you cancel your Disney Plus subscription. Wanda Sykes was actually supposed to be on Kimmel's show. She uploaded a video showing her support for Jimmy Kimmel saying, "Let's see, he didn't end the Ukraine war or solve Gaza within his first week, but he did end freedom of speech within his first year. To those of you who pray, now's the time. Love you, Jimmy." And people have also been outside the Jimmy Kimmel studio protesting Donald Trump. Gavin Newsom shared buying and controlling media platforms, firing commentators, canceling shows. These aren't coincidences. It's coordinated and it's dangerous. The GOP does not believe in free speech. They are censoring you in real time. It's interesting to note a couple of things here. So first of all, the company that was going to boycott the Jimmy Kimmel show is actually in the middle of trying to make a deal to buy more TV stations. Now, there's a rule with the FCC that one media company is not able to own a certain percentage or more of these news stations or companies. And I believe it's 38%. Right now, if they go through with this deal, they would be above that percentage. Now, the FCC is the person who decides this. Interesting to note, this statement came from the company trying to make this deal. "We appreciate FCC Chairman Brendan Carr's remarks today, and this incident highlights the critical need for the FCC to take immediate regulatory action to address control held over local broadcasters by the big national networks." They went on to say that instead of airing the Jimmy Kimmel show, they're going to air a special remembrance show in honor of Charlie Kirk. They have also now laid out a list of demands that they want from Jimmy Kimmel before they lift the suspension of his show on all of their ABC stations. They said the first thing they're asking is for there to be formal discussions held with ABC regarding the network's commitment to professionalism and accountability. Next, they want him to issue a direct apology to the Kirk family and for him to make a meaningful personal donation to the Kirk family and Turning Point USA. He ended the press conference by saying, regardless of ABC's plans for the future of the program, it will not return the Jimmy Kimmel show until it is confident the appropriate steps have been taken and that all of their demands have been met. Now again, Nexstar has announced that they are trying to acquire another broadcast company called Tegna for $6.2 billion. And the CEO of the FCC is the one that will make or break this. So the current law right now, I said 38%, it's 39%. And if this deal went through, that means that they would consolidate the local television landscape and put Nexstar, the company that owns this, in 80% of America's TV owning households. And of course, we've got the head of the FCC, Carr, praising Nexstar for putting the pressure on ABC and getting rid of Jimmy Kimmel. He actually shared the announcement saying, "Thank you to Sinclair for taking quick action that you consider responsive to the needs and values of the local communities you serve." And he immediately faced the world's backlash. Everyone was going back to previous tweets that he had shared, including this one, which was shared in 2022 saying, "President Biden is right. Political satire is one of the oldest and most important forms of free speech. It challenges those in power while using humor to draw more people into the discussion. That's why people in influential positions have always targeted it for censorship." And he shared this in 2019 saying, should the government censor speech it doesn't like? Of course not. The FCC does not have a roving mandate to police speech in the name of public interest. I told you it's getting wild. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.